Welcome back. It is just past 2 in the morning here in Brisbane, but I thought I'd better do a video looking back at the Queensland Reds against the Lions. So welcome back to the channel. I usually try and do these videos in the stadium, but it was genuinely at the point where I was worried that I might get kicked out a couple of hours ago, or not get kicked out. I was worried I was at the point where I'd get locked in. So I've come back to the hotel, I've done a bit of work, and now I'm going to chat about the game. You can give me your views in the comments section, the overall performance, how this Lions team is progressing, and then individual players as well, and the injury to Elliot Daly, which I'm going to get onto in just a second. So put all that in the comments, like the video as well, and hit that subscribe button for more 2 a.m. updates from Australia, which I think is going to be a recurring theme actually now that we're into the matches on this side of the country. The 6 p.m. kickoff in Perth was a lot easier. But anyway, let me know. Generally, I think for me, similar to what I said after the game in Perth actually, I think there were steps forward for the Lions here. I think they looked more cohesive in a lot of areas of the game. I think they're playing some really nice stuff, ambitious in an attacking sense, some good individual performances, but I think there will still be concerns for Andy Farrell. And I think that's a pretty understandable, normal state for them to be in at this point during the tour. They're not going to be absolutely perfect. They are making progress, and hopefully they will get to a point when they face the Wallabies in the first test, which, by the way, is not that far away. They'll be in a much better position. So that's the general stuff. Let's start off with the injury news, though, because I think that is the big thing to come out of this game. Elliot Daly picked up an arm injury in the second half. He had to go off. It did not look good. Saw him after the game in a sling. He had ice all over it. Andy Farrell's confirmed that he's going for an X-ray. Personally, and I hope I'm totally wrong here, I would be amazed if he is still going to be a part of the tour. And the next thing is how does that leave them at fullback? Now, I asked Andy Farrell this in the press conference and says, does that leave you in a tricky position in regards to your fullbacks? And he just said, no, we've got loads of fullbacks. The problem is, Hugo Keenan was supposed to start this game, but he dropped out because he had a illness, was sick basically on the morning of the game. So he will play, but he hasn't played up to this point and missed the end of the season with Leinster. Blair Kinghorn has only just arrived, so not only does he have to catch up on all the work and the calls and the shape and the structure, he could well play on Saturday, but he's probably still going to be a bit jet-lagged. And then you've got Marcus Smith, who's a fly-half playing at full-back, and then Tommy Freeman, Matt Hansen, players that are wingers that could play fullback as well. So I think it does leave the Lions in a tricky situation at fullback. I think Hugo Keenan would probably be the front runner now for the Test series, I think, even though he hasn't played a game, just because he has been involved with the squad longer than Blair Kinghorn. But geez, you feel for Daly, don't you? We'll wait and see, and I guess it might be confirmed tomorrow when they're going to name their team to take on the Waratahs. But Elliot Daly was absolutely playing his way into the Test team. I was messaging someone earlier, they thought he would have been the 23 shirt because of his versatility. I honestly think he could have ended up starting because he's been playing that well, he's been playing regularly, and Keenan and Kinghorn, as I've just mentioned, have a lot of ground to catch up. Brutal for Daly. Would have been his third Test series with the Lions as well. If you talk about modern day Lions greats, you don't necessarily think of Elliot Daly, but he was honestly playing his way into that position. He played on the wing in the Test series in 2017. He played 13 in 2021. He could have played fullback on this tour. Like, what incredible longevity and versatility. He was playing some of his best rugby. Let's hope he's not out. I think he probably will be. So brutal for him and brutal for the Lions in the week where they've also lost Thomas Williams, who was one of the form players on this tour as well. So the game itself, said earlier there'd still be concerns for the Lions. The set piece has had issues, hasn't it? The scrum here wasn't necessarily that solid. The line-out was a bit better without being absolutely perfect. With the scrum, I wondered whether it was a officiating interpretation, which is what the Lions themselves suggested. Andy Farrell didn't come out and say that he felt like the officials had got it wrong, but he said that they would seek clarity, which to me suggests that they felt the picture was different to what the referees were seeing and how they were officiating it. So that's something that they need to look into. But yeah, the set piece so far hasn't been amazing. Scrum was really good against Argentina. God, I'm losing track of time now because the games are coming so thick and fast. But Argentina, the scrum looked good. Second half against the Western Force, it looked good. So again, these aren't things that are huge concerns. The Lions have the quality of players there, but I guess it's about getting all the right connections and kind of cohesiveness in their unit, so that when they do come to the Test matches, they feel really comfortable there. And Andrew Porter actually said something similar afterwards. So I don't think it's a huge concern, but it's worth noting at this point. What about the slow starts? Second game in a row that the Lions have started really slowly. The Reds scored the first try here. And it was similar, wasn't it, to what we saw against the Western Force. First 20 minutes, the Reds were absolutely at them, and then they just faded. The Lions bench, in terms of the quality they're bringing off it, the opposition aren't able to deal with, and the Lions pull away and play some great stuff. But the slow start is a funny one for me, because they're kind of dropping the ball, knocking it on, getting stripped in the tackle. I'm not entirely sure what you'd put that down to, because they're clearly showing that the quality of their play, they have enough quality to be able to tear these teams apart at times, but they've started really slowly for the last couple of games. So something that will be a concern and they'll keep an eye on. Let's get into some of the selection though, and some of the individual performances, because we've seen basically everyone now, with the exception of Keenan and Kinghorn, and then Ben White, who's only just been called up as scrum half cover for Thomas Williams. We've basically seen everyone at least once, which means I think selection will begin to be geared more towards the Test matches, because selection up to this point, it was kind of about getting everyone game time. Now it will become more about the Test matches. And so where does that leave players? I'll try and do my usual movers and shakers video tomorrow, although I'll also be doing a team news one, because as I said, they'll name their team to take on the Waratahs. So busy couple of days. I think from this game there are a few obvious names though. Let's start off with Jack Morgan. He was awesome in the second half. Wasn't perfect in the first half. Had a few, I think he got stripped at one point and there was a few things. But in that second half, you saw why Jack Morgan is such a world-class operator and how he can do things that perhaps no other players can do in terms of his ability to steal the ball at the breakdown. There are a few steals that he had absolutely no right to make. And he put in a really strong performance when I think he needed it, because Josh van der Fleer was really good against the Western Force. I actually don't think we've necessarily seen the best of Tom Curry on this tour. He's been wearing the 6 jersey. He was wearing the 6 jersey today. Was he wearing the 6 jersey in the Argentina game? I think he might have been. We haven't seen the best of Tom Curry, which is frustrating for him. But given that Van der Fleer played so well, I thought Jack Morgan really stepped up tonight. I thought he was really good. Excellent performance. And maybe we will get a Welsh player in the Test team. Mauro Itoje is another one. I know he's the captain, but off the back of Joe McCarthy being the player of the match against the Force, putting in an awesome performance, I thought you saw close to the best of Mauro Itoje today. His ability to impact the game, stripping the ball in the tackle and just being absolutely everywhere. I thought he was excellent. What about some of the negatives in terms of performances? Duhan van der Merwe? I already had question marks over Duhan. Those of you that have watched some of the other videos will know that. And I'm just not sure he has the kind of all-round game that means Andy Farrell will pick him in a Test series. When he gets the ball in space, he can absolutely bully people and he can finish really brilliantly. I heard him described on a podcast the other day. It was the BBC podcast, and Tom English described him as a moments player. I feel like that's a really good description for Duhan. And I just wonder, when you look at what James Lowe brings, Mac Hansen, the way Tommy Freeman is playing, Andy Farrell will opt for wingers that have better all-round games. And I think in this game, yes, Duhan scored a try. You also saw some of the stuff that maybe isn't as polished. So he's a guy that I think is, for me, dropping out of the Test contention. And then more generally, what do we think is going to happen with the midfield? Gary Ringrose was excellent on Saturday. Bundy Aki was better today. Tuipulotu will probably come back in. I really don't know what midfield partnership Andy Farrell is going to go with for the Test matches at the moment, because I don't necessarily think we've seen the best from that area of the team in any of the games so far. Definitely something else to be keeping an eye on. So those are my original thoughts. I'll leave it there for now. You give me yours in the comments section on anything I've touched upon, plus anything else. Go and chuck it in there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go to bed after I've made a thumbnail and uploaded this. But yeah, tomorrow, travel to Sydney, team news in the evening here in Sydney. It's all happening. Beauty of Alliance Tour. It's awesome though. Absolutely loving being here, and I'll see you in the next one.